Okay, let's do our homework number one, and then so we'll go over each one, and then I'll tell you what the correct answer is. Okay, number one, you want to know whether if trust level between couples affects overall length of a marriage. Your independent variable would be a group of married couples, while your dependent variable is the trust level between these couples. Okay, so your independent variable is the one that you will be looking at, you're interested in knowing. And the dependent variable is the readout, is the outcome. Okay, so the independent variable is either something that you are picking based on their characteristics or the one that you're manipulating. Okay, so in this case, you're interested in knowing if the trust level between couples affects overall length of marriage. So your independent variable in this case would be the trust level. Okay, and the dependent variable would be the length of the marriage. Okay, so number one is false. Okay, number two, you want to know whether if smart people obtain higher GPA than others. And okay, so you have decided to include people with only IQ of 140 or higher to be considered as smart. Okay, this IQ of 140 is your population of interest. Okay, is this true or not? Okay, now when you think about it, what is the population of interest? The population of interest would be basically pretty much everybody in this, every possible person in this case. Okay, and you're probably thinking, why is that? Because, well, if you need smart people in your, if you want to know if smart people are better students in which that they obtain higher GPA, you must have a comparison group too, also, right? So which means you need smart people and not so smart people in them. Okay, and then now, so you decide to include people that are IQ of 100 or 40 or higher to be considered as smart. Okay, so this cutoff of the IQ of 140, this is your criteria. This is basically you set your standard. You say that everybody that has the IQ of 140 is considered as smart. Okay, so that would be your criteria of inclusion to be considered as quote unquote smart. Okay, so that would not be your population of interest, that would be your criteria. Okay, so number two is also false. You decided, okay, number three, you decided to investigate whether men are more aggressive than women. You gathered 20 men and 20 women to include in your study. These 40 people collectively can be called as your parameter. Okay, now what is parameter? Well, parameter is something that you kind of assign value to, okay? So in this case, the 40 people collectively, these are the people who participated in your study, okay? Therefore, they are the participants. They are not your parameter. The parameter would be something, let's say, for instance, uh, these people, the 20 men and 20 women, are ages between uh, 16 to 35. That would be a parameter. Okay. Now, if you say something like these 20 men and 20 women are comes from, let's say, all possible races. That would be another parameter. They're assigning values to. Okay, so that is not, so these people that participate in your study, they are not your parameter. They are your participants or the subjects. Okay, participants and subjects means the same thing. Okay, number four. So number three is also false. Okay, so number four, classifying a sample of students according to high, medium, and low self-esteem would be an example of measurement on an interval scale. This is also false. Okay, why is it false? Because interval scale basically says that the number between 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 are all equal. Okay, now there is no such thing as here that they're assigning numbers. They're just classifying them as high, medium, and low self-esteem, right? So that would be, well, that would be ordinal at best, okay, if that. So most likely it's going to be nominal. So either way, number 4 is false. Okay. Number 5, in order to find out a treatment effect of a drug in a given population, one must use descriptive statistics to compare the non-drug condition versus a drug condition. Okay, this is also false. Okay, you must use inferential statistics. So to compare the non-drug condition versus a drug condition. So the one that you most likely you will use if the data follows a um, if the data follows some sort of bell-shaped curve or normal distribution, then you will use the t-test, the student t-test. Okay, now if it does not, then you need to use some sort of non-parametric test, and that would be in this case a Mann-Whitney U, which I'm not so sure if you guys learned them in your statistics, but I'm telling you here. Okay, the Mann-Whitney U is essentially the equivalent, the non-parametric equivalent of the student's t-test. Okay, number 6. Correlation methods such as Pearson's R and Spearman's rho is good at determining cause and effect relationship. Okay, this is also false. You learned that in stats that correlation has no bearing on cause and effect. So it only tells you that when one goes up, the other one also goes up or down. Okay, all right, number 7. A recent study reports that increased lighting during the winter months results in lower depression scores on a clinical scale. For this study, the dependent variable is, okay, so what is the outcome in here? The outcome is the score received on the clinical scale, right? So the correct answer would be C. Okay, number 8. A recent study reports that infant rats fed a special protein-enriched diet reached an adult weight 10% greater than littermates raised on a regular diet. For this study, what is the independent variable? Okay, so independent variable is either the subject characteristics that you assign them with, or the thing that you're manipulating. Okay, so what is being manipulated here? It's the type of diet that is being that's being manipulated, right? So the answer will be D. Number 9, after measuring 2 individuals, a researcher can say that the score of one individual is larger than the score of the other, but it is impossible to say how much larger. Okay, so that would mean that this is a ordinal scale. Okay. Number 10, after measuring 2 groups of people, researcher can say that the results of one group is different than the other, but it's impossible to tell you how much different nor the direction of that difference. What scale of measurement is being used in this situation? Well, this is in the nominal. They're using a nominal in this case. Okay, so because it does not tell you the direction and it does not tell you how much difference there is, right? It only tells that they're different. So that would be nominal in this case. Okay, that's it for homework number 1.